Bidell was a high school teacher. She was on the way out of the SWP when I started coming around. I remember going to a meeting celebrating the Russian Revolution, and she was leading the choir, the chorus that they had organized, the workers' chorus they called it. It was rather an impressive meeting because the office and hall they had outgrown in that period. It was the period where they were having relatively rapid growth, and but in general, she was a fine woman. She was of German descent. It was alleged that she was a drop for the Soviet Union in the 20s. It could well have been true. And when I returned from the service, a year and a half later, she was out of the party. She left with the group around Goldman. It was the gossip of the time that she had an unrequited love affair. In other words, she had a big attraction to Goldman. That was, whether that was true or not, I don't know. She was obviously an old-timer, a 1990er. I think she had originally joined the CP in 1919. When she joined the Trotskyists, I don't know. And she was just tired. I mean, when people are tired, they often develop all sorts of other reasons other than the fact that they're tired. But
how old were you?
I was 17 when I 17 when I first saw her, and I think I ran into her a couple times afterwards, but she didn't play any kind of a role in not just the Trotskyists left, but the Chicago left after that. My impression is that she was close to 65 and retiring. She also had a a defect on the what is that, sclerosis or sclerotic?
Scoliosis.
Yeah, she had scoliosis. And the other thing I remember about Lydia is that she had a silver fox cape. Well, when women who wanted to get beyond a cloth coat, as my mother had, but couldn't afford a mink or anything like that, to get dressed up, they got a short silver fox cape. It looked very good on her. That's, it was not, it was poor women who weren't so poor and wanted to have a nice something or other to go out in. She had been through all the wars, though. They were they were demoralized. Goldman was a historic figure. There were a few others in the Chicago branch. A couple of them participated with the Shachtman group in the Independent Socialist League, but most of them dropped out of politics. Goldman actually went in the, I guess he was a hack in the sense that he owned 2 taxis, as I understand it, and that's how he made his living, because he couldn't get he was disbarred because of the Smith Act, and they were just tired. That's how I would explain it. When I came back from the service, at which point I was 18 and a half or 19, we tried to organize a youth group with the sons and daughters of our members, and it was, we had about a half a dozen around, and there was no interest whatsoever, no hostility, and there were not many young people around.
Of course, you read that book that came out last year, Kid Who Grew Up with
Yeah, but he's 2 decades later. It's when the SWP had a rebirth with the anti opposition to the No Strike Pledge, their militancy in the factory. They played a big role in the South Side in the campaign against racism.
And that was some of what impressed you?
Yeah, that was that in their historical point of view. But it was not in a vacuum. They were very active in core in the NAACP. They had a big presence in the labor movement, bigger than the size of the branch in Chicago indicated, and they had a totally false perspective in the sense that the thesis at the 46th convention was the coming American Revolution, which at best could be described as ultra-leftism, at the worst crackpotism.